When we talk about the issue of Islamic extremism, sometimes people will say, okay, but they're a minority. It's a small minority. The first thing you have to understand is that, okay, there's a small minority, but even if it's, let's say, 10%, 20%, that's still hundreds of millions. There's over 1 billion Muslims on the planet. But even beyond that, there's a bit of a tendency in the West to suppress difficult discussions, to deny the truth, in order to look and be perceived as good. I've watched this conversation with Bridget Gabriel, and a Muslim that says, why are you making all these generalizations? Because she has a very, very powerful response.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace to you all. My name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a law student at American University. I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative, applause till the end. Thank you. Thank you. And since you're the only Muslim representative in here, you took the limelight instead of speaking about why our government, and I assume, are you an American? You're an American citizen. So as an American citizen, you sat in this room, and instead of standing up and saying a question or asking something about our 4 Americans that died and what our government is doing to correct the problem, you stood there to make a point about peaceful, moderate Muslims. I wish you brought 10 with you to question about how we can hold our government responsible. It is time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs and start calling it fair.
And there will be refreshments afterward. Did you want to respond to the...
I think we're out of
I
can't follow that.
You had a follow-up that you'd... you go ahead.
Comment. Thank you for your responses. And I do really hope that other Muslims will start showing up at these conservative forums. But, as a peaceful American Muslim, I would like to think that I'm not that irrelevant. I'm just as much an American, and I'm very deeply saddened about the lives that were lost in Libya. And I hope that we will find justice for their families. But I don't think that this war can ever be won by just the military. You have to address them. You have to bring Muslims to the table to address this.
I think everyone
thank you.
agrees that it can't be won
Everybody
just
agrees with
militarily, and I think that everyone has said that. You tell me who the head of the Muslim peace movement is?
I guess it's me right now, so thank you.
She seems like a really, really sweet, well-meaning lady, and maybe she should be the leader of a Muslim peace movement. But I have to tell you that, on the one hand, Bridget is obviously completely right. We're denying basic, obvious truths on the altar of political correctness. That's been happening with Israel as well. People trying to suggest the Palestinian cause is based on a legitimate grievance, whereas it's actually based on ideological hatred. But she is right in acknowledging that there needs to be an ideological war that's fought as well. And this is where the Jewish people actually need to be at the forefront. The only way that we're going to resolve the ideological hatred, the inability of the Muslim world to accept the Jewish people's right to live in their ancient homeland, is for us to communicate in their language. The language they respect in the Middle East is, number one, showing uncompromising strength, which at times in the past Israel has been a bit too appeasing, a bit too kind of guilty in its own psychology. But number two is we need to start speaking the language of God, the language of the divine, religion, because that is what they respect in the Middle East. And I assure you that many Muslims would have a lot more time for Israel and respect for Israel if, instead of Israel talking a Western liberal, secular, democratic language, we explain to them that no, we really are the real Jews. We're not some kind of phony colonial entity. We are the real Jews of the Torah. And our right to be here is because God, Allah, ordained it so. That is going to be the ideological resolution to this. And we shouldn't try to stop them from wanting to worship God. Not at all. No religion is also a disaster. And we faced the worst kind of hostility and anti-Semitism in history also from atheist movements, the Soviets, the Nazis, right? So let's not think that just secularization is necessarily the answer. The answer is for the Jewish people to finally and fully come into their role to teach people who God actually is, what he actually wants of humanity, what he actually wants of this world. That is our destiny, and it's coming very soon. The Islamic Republic of Iran. For over 4 decades, its leaders have stood defiantly, their voices thundering through Tehran's streets, chanting death to Israel and waging a relentless war on the West. But what fuels this fierce, unyielding hatred? Is it politics? A grab for regional power? Or something even more profound? A theology that casts Israel and the West as cosmic enemies in a divine battle for the end of days. In this JTV Plus documentary, we embark on a journey to unravel the apocalyptic beliefs at the core of Iran's revolution. We'll uncover the sacred Shia doctrines that prophesy a world reborn through chaos, where a hidden redeemer, the Mahdi, will rise to vanquish evil, with Israel and America as the ultimate foes. We'll dive deep into the mystical visions of a global Islamic order where martyrdom and jihad pave the path to divine victory. We'll explore how these ancient beliefs shape Iran's every move, from its fiery rhetoric to its deadly proxy wars. From the revolutionary sermons of Ayatollah Khomeini, who ignited a nation, to the shadow wars of spies, cyber attacks, and missiles that have pushed the region to the brink. We'll trace the arc of a regime bent on reshaping history, and we'll reveal the climactic moment when Israel struck back with Operation Rising Lion, a daring, high-stakes operation that shook the world and redefined the conflict. This is not just a story of a nation, but of a creed that seeks to rewrite the future, a conflict that threatens to engulf us all. Join us as we expose the hidden truths behind what Iran sees as its sacred mission, its unrelenting rage, and the battle for our world's destiny. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.